that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it one shot at a time.
Aim it at this over here.
Well, that started a revolution.
You want it over here? No, aim it at there. Right here on the edge of the table. Aim it
Like
this
a
way.
wildfire for freedom. It's burning even now. You see, even if you got
Okay.
You'll have to fight from a
Not there, over there. I want it right
We
there.
want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it.
We hope
one
that's
shot
okay.
at a time.
Okay, now. Over here.
Now I know the Constitution, and it gives me certain rights that I will never ever give up.
Power that.
At least not without a fight.
No, it's back.
So if anybody's even thinking they're gonna take my guns away, like the good old boys down in Gonzales, I got one thing to say. Come on, make my day. Come and take it if you want it. Come and take it if you think you can. Come and take it, but I warn you, you'll have to fight from my cold dead hands. We want the freedom that God gave us, so you best not cross that line. If you want this gun, you gotta come through us and take it one shot at a time.
Come and take it, San Antonio. Come and take it, San Antonio. Welcome to the 2013 Line in the Sand event here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm Murdoch with Don'tComply.com. We're here in part with Open Carry Texas and Texas Carry. Thank everybody for coming out. People traveled from all over the state, even from out of state, to get here today. Here in San Antonio, they have encroached on our freedoms, on our Second Amendment rights that shall not be infringed. We came down here to draw the line in the sand and say that they won't.
Yeah! Yeah!
Since we started organizing this event, the local SAPD already started to change policy in the works. They realized that their ordinances
You are on the podium on that
were
camera.
contrary to the
You're on the
Texas
podium.
Constitution,
Yeah, check it.
to freedom, and an outpouring of fellow patriots like this shows them that the time has come to change back. We want our rights back. So this event, please, I guess CJ Grisham already mentioned it. We're trying to raise the level of safety for everyone involved. This is a family-oriented event. Please chamber flag your weapon and visit the table over here for any and all supplies and cards. Now, CJ Grisham is a prominent military blogger and founder of A Soldier's Perspective, who after his illegal arrest in Temple found himself at the tip of the spear in the gun debate.
Okay.
Naturally, Open Carry Texas was born. I want to welcome my friend and fellow patriot, CJ Grisham.
Yeah! Okay, we're on the podium. Good. That
This is
flag
amazing.
right in the way.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for coming out here. This is exactly what I had hoped for.
I want to give a special shout out to Moms Demand Action for Sensible Gun something or other.
Yeah!
We only have one channel going into this. So
Don't worry, ladies, we'll protect your First Amendment.
Where's the other one? The gray one.
Before,
I never saw a great one.
Right here.
obviously, what I want to do real quick before I get, I just want to let everybody know how this event came about and give you a few updates that Murdoch alluded to. As you know, back in July, we had 3 of our Open Carry Texas members falsely charged with disorderly conduct for doing exactly what almost all of you are doing here today. Why? Because someone was afraid to see a long, shiny metal object that spews projectiles of freedom.
Okay.
And the police came out and decided that those projectiles of freedom were making people wet their pants. Now,
I thought we were.
we organized this event
No, we can't come through there. We don't.
obviously
we don't have
because
right.
when I spoke with the supervisor of those officers, the response that I got is, and we'll do it again. So we told them, okay, then you're going to have to arrest 1,000 of us. And I want to tell you something. SAPD has turned a 180 because of your efforts, because of our efforts. I guarantee you that unless you're physically and obviously threatening someone with your firearm, that the city of San Antonio is a gun-friendly city, that the SAPD is no longer going to be messing with us. One of the things that we're trying to do here also is, you know, we are not an Open Carry Texas. We are not a civil disobedience organization. I know a lot of people probably think we are, but we do everything by the law. We have studied it. We have researched it. We have lawyers and attorneys that have helped us make sure that everything we do is lawful. And that's what we came out here to do, is to show everyone out here that the sight of a gun is not something to be afraid of, that an armed society is a polite society.
You got power? Oh, here.
What we want you to do at Open Carry Texas, we're a grassroots organization. Obviously, to get our nonprofit status, we've got to have a board and leaders and all that kind of stuff.
Start
But
putting it up on the.
you know, kind of like the Hair Club for Men, I'm not just the president, I'm also a member. And all we want to do is help you understand the law. And we want you to go out into your cities, wherever you're from in Texas, go into your towns, go into your neighborhoods, and open carry often. Right now, it's only legal to open carry an AR-15, but not your 6-hour 9mm, not your Kimber 45, not your Glock. I don't like Glocks, whatever the Glocks are. I'm a 1911 guy. And I don't know about you guys, but something just doesn't seem right that if I want to protect myself without having to cover up, I have to carry a rifle around. So if we can condition people to see that people with guns are not the problem, and that they can understand that while we're carrying rifles around and no one's getting hurt, would the state rather us carry rifles and shotguns and AKs and ARs, or would they rather just have us have a sidearm, just like all the armed law enforcement officers around here, so that we can also help protect the peace? Arizona has been doing this forever. And, you know, you hear these people saying, oh, but, you know, if you have a pistol on you or you're openly carrying, you're making yourself a target. I have a bunch of responses to that. Number one, at least I chose to be the target so that you can get away. Number two, I don't see that happening in Arizona. Another argument is that, you know, if you're carrying a pistol, someone can just walk up and pull the trigger or pull the pistol out. By a show of hands, if they're willing to work with me, SAPD, how many people have come up to you and take your pistols out of your holsters while you weren't looking? Anybody? I don't see any hands. It's an empty argument. Okay? People that carry guns are responsible citizens. When I carry my rifle, I'm very aware of who's around me. That's why I knew that police officer was coming up behind me that day. But I don't want to talk about that. What I want to do real quick, and I'm done. You may have heard about my case up in Temple, Texas. Yesterday we had a hung jury. I want to introduce the man of the hour, super attorney, Brew Rannefeld. He brought his toothbrush with him.
I came armed with my toothbrush because I am willing to go to jail for your rights. We are willing to
Pretty good
fight
shot, really.
when the abuse of police officers and the judicial system
Not
attempts
bad.
to take away your rights. We're the National Association for Legal Gun Defense and the Self-Defense Fund. Thank you very much.
Hey, if you own a gun, let me tell you something. I'm a law-abiding citizen just like everyone out here. I never thought I would need that man. I never thought I would need that man. But that $12 a month that I gave these guys, I'm a free man today. Because if anyone abuses their power and tries to arrest you for being a law-abiding gun owner, these are the guys that will come to your aid. So check them out. They're the selfdefensefund.com, and they'll be around here with their cards and stuff. But you know, I haven't paid a dime, and they don't lobby, they fight. I want to introduce the founder of Texas Carry, good friend of mine, another fellow criminal gun owner that was arrested up at the Austin Capitol for lawfully carrying a firearm, Mr. Terry Holcomb.
How does it feel to be in the safest place in Texas?
That's true.
DJ, do I have to take my sunglasses off? According to the other side, the sky's going to fall any time now, so y'all make sure you're always looking up. As I look out here
Mary
today,
Ellen? You use
a
one
lot
of
of
these
people
chairs
look
if you want.
to CJ and myself and Scott Liberty and Gary Hayes and they call us heroes, but today we look out and we call you heroes. Y'all are out here and you're standing for your rights. And it's not just about somebody coming and trying to take our guns for me. For me, it's someone trying to tell me how to keep my gun. Someone telling me how to wear my gun. I'm not going to speak long. I just came to introduce a very good friend of mine. But I do want to send a very clear message because I know they're watching today. Joe Strauss and Joe Pickett, you should have passed HB 700. You should have passed carry anywhere. You should have passed campus carry. And I think most importantly, you should have passed come and take it. With that being said, I do want to tell CJ thank you for your service to the country. I want to thank Scott Liberty for his service to the country. Gary Hayes, my goodness, here he is right here, a veteran. That, as I understand it, was probed by DPS. These are our heroes that continue to fight for their rights and yours. And we should be extremely grateful for all of their sacrifices. Another veteran that I'm going to introduce now graduated in Texas A&M in 1969. He retired a Marine Vietnam veteran with 24 years of service. He's a former Texas senator, and he authored our current Texas CHL law. If I had to count who is currently in our legislature that is truly fighting for our rights, I could hardly count them on one hand, but he would be the first. He is currently serving as our Texas Land Commissioner, and he is a candidate for Lieutenant Governor, and I say he is our next Lieutenant Governor, Jerry Patterson.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the cradle of Texas liberty. You know, 177 years ago, there were about 200 folks who gave their all, right behind me, for liberty. And I think it's illustrative to kind of evaluate the reasons they did that. And of course, the Alamo fell on the 6th of March, 1836, but a few days before that, on the 2nd of March, 1836, they wrote the Declaration of Texas Independence. And not necessarily the gentlemen who were here and who gave their ultimate sacrifice, but the gentleman that wrote the Declaration of Independence. And I want to read something from that document. They enumerated the reasons that they sought independence from Mexico. It's a very inspiring document. But in part, they said, in referencing
people in back who can't hear, can you turn the...
We're not doing that. Okay.
The following. Mexico has demanded us to deliver up our arms, which are essential to our defense, the rightful property of free men, and formidable only to tyrannical governments. That's what it was about, among other liberties that they also enumerated. And so that's why we're here today, to emphasize our ability and our right to defend those liberties. It's real simple. Not only we have, I see some come and take it flags, it's also interesting that the first battle of the Texas Revolution was in Gonzales when the Mexican army went to Gonzales to take the cannon away from the settlers who lived there. And they said no. They said, come and take it. The Mexican army was unsuccessful in doing that. And then some of those men who were at that battle were also among the Martel 32 that rode to Alamo. They came here to reinforce the garrison, and they died here. So some of those who were involved in that come and take it fight also gave the ultimate price for liberty. The Second Amendment, in my view, is the defender of the rest. And you also have to go back to the founders and what they wrote, what they said, what they meant. They were very careful when they wrote our Bill of Rights to emphasize that these rights were not granted by government, that these are God-given natural rights, and that they merely enumerated those rights, the first, the second, the fourth, the fifth, the seventh, the ninth, all of those. They merely enumerated those rights. Because if you accept the premise that government can give you rights, you must also accept the premise that that same government can take them away. So it's not about defending the actions of man and our founders. It's about defending the liberty that we enjoy by virtue of being born free men and free women. Now, you know, it was mentioned that I'm the author of the concealed handgun law, and that's correct. I passed it in 1993. Our governor at that time, Ann Richards, vetoed it. In part, she was beaten because of that veto. 2 years later, I passed it again, 1995, Senate Bill 60. And if you recall the discussion at that time, every editorial board in the state of Texas opined that if we passed the Texas concealed handgun law, it would be blood in the streets, wild, wild west, and shootouts at every four-way stop. So how many of y'all have been involved in a shootout at a four-way stop since we passed that bill? The point is that men and women who are so concerned with obeying the law, you know, unlawful carry of a handgun is generally a Class A misdemeanor. Can you imagine someone who's concerned with not being charged with Class A misdemeanor committing a capital offense? It just doesn't compute. The folks who seek the permit are the folks who, by definition, are law-abiding. Now, one of the problems we had back in 1995 when we passed the concealed handgun law is that many municipalities around the state of Texas adopted ordinances that said no concealed handguns in the city limits, no loaded firearms. And while I don't know the history here in San Antonio, what I can tell you is that my suspicion is that the city ordinance that says you can't have a loaded firearm unless you're a police officer or a security guard came out of that 1995 bill when all these municipalities passed prohibitions. My point is today is that the gentlemen who wear blue or the gentlemen that wear whatever color uniform it may be that are involved in our law enforcement are not the ones who make law. they have that sometimes burden to enforce a law that's on the books that they may not agree with. And I will tell you, when we talk about San Antonio PD or DPS, you have to recognize that those cops on the street are not here to adjudicate, to evaluate the constitutionality, to compare a city ordinance to a state law that prohibits that city ordinance. That's not their job. Their job is to enforce the law however bad it may be. So what I say to you is, one of the reasons we're having this event today and it's being so successful is the San Antonio Police Department. I have had many conversations with Chief McManus about, yes, the chief says, I'm with you. This is the Constitution. We believe in your right to do this. We're going to help you make this a successful event. So when we move forward around Texas, continuing to advocate for our fundamental, God-given, natural right to keep and bear arms, any anger you have, focus it at the lawmakers. Focus it at, and you shouldn't even have anger. You should go, focus it at the lawmakers, whether it's city council, whether it's county commissioner's court, whether it's the Texas legislature, the United States Congress. Those are where the laws emanate from. Those are where the violations of our liberty come from. It's not the cop on the street. They're just in a bind. They got to enforce the law even if they may not think it's the right kind of law. That's not their job. We're here to celebrate liberty. We're here to show the world that we can do things in a law-abiding manner. That the mere presence of a visible firearm should not be cause for alarm. When I was in junior high, which was a long time ago, in Hartman Junior High School in Houston, Texas, I took a muzzle-loading Civil War between the states, or war of northern aggression, depending on however you want to describe it. I took one to school for show and tell. And I showed my class how you load a muzzle loader. And everybody loved it. It was a really neat historical, it's a history. I remember getting out of my mom's car, we carpooled, and I walked up to the hall monitor, who was the football coach, and I said, Coach, I don't want to carry this gun around all day in school. Can I take it to my homeroom? And he wrote me a pass, and it said, to take gun to homeroom. Now, can you imagine what would happen today? The problem is, though, we're not living in the 1950s. We're living in a time when we have folks who have firearms who maybe shouldn't have them. People who are mentally deranged. And what do those folks do when they want to wreak mayhem? What do those folks do when they want to? Exactly. I call them venue shooters. They go to where they know that the firearms are prohibited. Whether it's Sandy Hook, whether it's Aurora, Colorado, whether it's Virginia Tech, etc., etc. Laws do not make us safer. Liberty makes us safer. So, I don't want to take a lot of time. I want to emphasize a couple of things. The mere fact that we are here today has some controversy associated with it. I respect the opinions of folks who say, no, this is not the right place. But I would submit to you, there's one standard we should apply to gatherings here at this sacred cradle of Texas liberty, and that is whether our activity and our purpose would be supported by those men who gave it all. They were fighting for the right to keep and bear arms. They were fighting for religious freedom. They were fighting for the freedom of speech. They were fighting for liberty to own property. They were fighting for liberty against oppression. And that's what they were for. So I submit to you that they would be supportive of our reason to be here. I would also tell you that I'm not one of those who believes that somebody's going to come knocking on my door and take my guns. But it's not about what happens today. We're not defending liberty for ourselves. We're defending liberty for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. And for those who say that, no, that's just a pipe dream, that would never happen, I submit to you what happened in New Orleans when the New Orleans, PD confiscated firearms. It does happen. It happens infrequently. But we still have to prove, and we still have to make the point that, no, we're not going to let that happen. And we have, in this country, the wonderful thing about this country is we have a peaceable means to protest what we believe to be wrong. We have legislatures and Congress. We have the best political systems, in spite of its flaws, of any nation in the world. So we're blessed with that, and we're blessed with the vehicle to do things and correct wrongs without having to do what was done here 177 years ago. We need to keep that in mind. I would like to also point out something. This is not a political event. This is an event about liberty. And someone says, I've had several press conversations, people say it's politics, and I tell you, you know what, if folks gathering to support their First and Second Amendment is politics, then we need more of it. No one is here to ask for your vote, and if they do, I'm going to ask them to leave the podium. We're here to show that we believe in liberty. Now, I'm going to ask you to do some things for me. This is a sacred place. There are hundreds of folks who are going to go into this shrine, and they're from other countries. They assemble here. They come in. I'm going to ask you to have the consideration to give them room to do this. We have a very small footprint here at the Alamo. And so keep in mind that if we have a big crowd and it blocks this entrance here, that folks can't get in there. I want you to be cognizant of that. We also have some requests about the way we show reverence for what happened behind me. When you go in there, no covers, no caps, no hats. When you go in there, no loud voices. Go in there with reverence. When you go in there, I'm asking you not to take your visibly carried firearm. Even though you can lawfully do that, we have a reverence for that location where those men died, and we ask you to comply with those requests. We also ask you placards, all of that. Please keep it out here on the street. This is a place of reverence. It's like a cemetery. In matter of fact, this is a cemetery. There were many Indians who were buried right here where we stand in the deal when this was part of the Alamo missions. Please do that. Please show reverence. Please show respect. Please keep standing up for liberty and showing the folks who are looking upon us today and saying, ooh, I'm not comfortable, that there's no reason to not be comfortable. I know you'll do that because I know you're here because you're the folks that like to obey the law. All right. I've talked enough. I'm just going to close with a couple of things I'd like to close with. God bless all of you, and God bless the wonderfully blessed and free state of Texas. Thank you very much.
Two decades ago, it was normal to walk down your road with your breakaway shotgun over your shoulder, go blinking down in the creek. No one thought anything of it. And it was our job to be diligent and exercise these rights so they didn't atrophy. But we didn't. We got distracted in our lives, in our everyday coming and going, promotion at your job, and we forgot what's important. Now when I come out and walk down the road, some people think it's strange. So, some months ago after the incident in Temple, we organized our own open carry walks to constantly remind the public. If you're interested in doing some of them yourself, you can come to comeandtakeItamerica.com and check out some of the local chapters. We can also help you create one of your own in your own neighborhood and spread this all around. We've been doing them in Temple. And when I was down in McAllen a couple months ago, all I did was ask the police to be aware that I would be out there taking a picture with my gun. I told them that I wasn't going to ask permission. I was just giving them a heads up. They arrested me. They've since dropped those felony charges because in 2 days' time we had over 100 people standing with their guns on the front lawn of the police department. We showed them what shall not be infringed meant, and they changed their mind. They were reminded. It happened in Temple, it happened in McAllen, and it happened here in San Antonio. And this is the kind of teamwork that we need, camaraderie, the patriots. Every time you see this happening in your town, make a call out to the patriots. Bring everybody you know. Austin is next. There's not a whole lot of SAPD out there right now, but if everyone wants to turn around and wave up in the window, I'm sure they can all see us from here. How y'all doing today? Yeah, I'm hoping I can get a little of that footage to put on the DVD. Thank you. The next speaker, Matt McCall, is running to be the citizen representative of the 21st District of Texas to restore the hope and freedom that only we as citizens can keep. And let me introduce to you Matt McCall.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to start off and say this morning that I'm not a politician or a lawyer. I'm a small business owner, and I'm privileged that my business is I sell surgical products to the American military in Europe and in Guam. And being a surgical sales guy, I've stood in a lot of surgery. And if any of you come back from Afghanistan or Iraq and have been blown up, and the good doctors there in law school put you back together, I may have been privileged to actually watch that, even though I didn't know who you were. But I'd like to thank the veterans that are here this morning for your sacrifice for our country. It isn't forgotten. And I'm here to talk to you this morning about something that I think is an incredible tragedy in our country. And it's something that the Gun Owners of America call the Veterans Disarmament Act. H.R. 2640. And one of the co-sponsors I heard speak about it, this bill passed and was signed into law in 2007. And I heard one of the co-sponsors this week say that we misunderstand it, that it's kept people safe. Well, what this bill says is that if you're a veteran and you have any post-traumatic stress syndrome whatsoever in your file, that you're a criminal if you own a firearm right here in the United States. I understand that it also means that if you're a woman and you've been raped and your doctor says you have post-traumatic stress syndrome, well, you're a criminal if you own a firearm to defend yourself the next time. You know, our liberties and freedom are under assault from many different directions. And this is just one of them. And we're here today to protest, to do what law-abiding citizens who care are supposed to do. And I got an email this morning from a friend saying that the state of Texas is actually taking and declaring dry creeks to be navigable waterways in the state of Texas. And that means they own the land in the bed of the creek. I have one of those in my backyard, and actually the city of Bernie would like to put a walkway up that, a jogging path. And so it's little ways, it's always little ways, little things. It seems so good, but we have to press back. This is what freedom and liberty are all about. It's about fighting back, and that doesn't mean taking up loaded arms in the streets. It means standing up for our rights and working. You know, as a young man, I got a job shoveling concrete, and I saved up my money, and I took a trip. And I met a gentleman sitting on a subway in London, England, on a cold, rainy night. There's an old man, he was 80 years old. And I said, well, what are you guys up to? And he said, well, we're going to a protest. Come join us. I'm like, all right. And so they were going to the Soviet embassy to protest because it was the anniversary of a guy named Jan Pollock, a young man who killed himself by self-immolation in Prague in response to the Prague Spring, to the clampdown by the government. But this is in 1987, and you've got 80-year-old men out there that are still protesting and they're still fighting. That night I met the government in exile from Poland, and they were still fighting. They were keeping up the good fight after years and decades. Those men didn't know that night that just a couple of years later, the Berlin Wall would fall. but it did. We don't know for certain, but I believe that the era of big government is actually crumbling right before our eyes. Ronald Reagan couldn't wait to stand up and say niet, and now we're seeing that. And our freedoms are going to be restored, but we have to work. It's about freedom. The Founding Fathers gave us a garden of liberty, and we can't just harvest for a couple of 100 years. We've got to get in there and tend it, and that means showing up, knocking on doors, running citizens for office, standing up at protests, and being involved.
Yes.
Freedom isn't free, folks, and it's not. It's work. And so I appreciate you all being here as citizens, and we need to stay engaged. We can't just show up for protest. We have to show up for protest, and we have to live a life of dedication and work for our children and for their children. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you coming up. God bless Texas.
Okay. Go back to D. Yeah, just for a change.
Yeah, I'd like to remind you guys,
Okay.
definitely remember that this
Is
is
that thing working or
sacred
not?
ground, and be respectful when you're inside.
Don't worry about
Please,
it.
no guns inside of the sanctuary and shrine. Alex Jones is an internationally recognized veteran broadcaster, documentary filmmaker, and investigative journalist. Alex's mainstay is his nationally syndicated news talk show produced from his studio in Austin. The Alex Jones Show airs on AM, FM, and shortwave stations all across the U.S. and everyone. Please welcome Alex Jones.
First off, I want to salute everybody who came out here in defiance of tyranny.
Yeah.
Civilizations go one way or the other. You either become more free or you become enslaved. And there are only a few countries worldwide where you can still own firearms. Governments worldwide controlled by powerful anti-free market corporate interests like Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, and others have financed programs from Australia to France, from England to South Africa to disarm the people. Whether it was King George 235 years ago who wanted to disarm slaves, whether it was Santa Anna 177 years ago, or whether it was Adolf Hitler or Mao Zedong, these scumbags are all the same! They are bullies that think we're going to lay onto them and lick their boots. I can assure you that if William Barrett Travis was here, or the others that died in this sacred shrine were here, they would give us a rebel yell of liberty! I can assure you they knew full well they were going to die, but they were so angry watching people tied up and shot in the back of the head all over Texas because they wouldn't turn their guns in that they came down here to show an example of what you do in the face of tyrants. And that's what you're doing here right now, today. And I'll tell you, I'm no different than my ancestors. You're no different than your ancestors. My ancestors on both sides of my family started the Texas Revolution. And I'm here to tell you that revolution was a continuation of human beings fighting against bullies and tyrants in every civilization throughout history. And this is the struggle of the individual against the bullies and the tyrants. And I salute you all for being here today. This is the heart of 1776. It wasn't one of the reasons that the war against King George began. It was the central, main, final reason at Lexington and Concord. And it wasn't one of the reasons there was a rebellion against the dictator Santa Anna, later thrown out in Mexico proper. It was the main, central reason they met at Washington on the Brazos, where my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Ayers helped kick the whole thing off to say, we're not turning our guns in, and we're not running, and we're not backing down. If you want them, come and take them.
And make no mistake, the entire world is watching us. There are shrines in here sent from places like Japan. And our fight for liberty includes every man, woman, and child, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, old, young. It doesn't matter. You have a right to self-defense, and that's what this is all about. There is a fight worldwide to take your guns. Dianne Feinstein, Handgun Control Incorporated, the few dozen Democratic Party operatives they're going to have marching here in a little while, the so-called moms, they are here to disarm you while Homeland Security buys tens of thousands of armored vehicles and buys billions of bullets and trains with paper targets of little children. As Patrick Henry said, they're already gearing up. They're already getting ready. These weapons are for us and none other. And that's why we're here in defiance. And I will assure you, I will tell you right now, that if the people that died here could see us now, and I believe they can, they would be proud of each and every one of you. And I salute you again. They died for us. And countless others throughout history died for us. I don't normally blow my voice out about 30 seconds, but I tell you, this is sacred ground here, just like Lexington, just like Concord. My friends, it's all about standing up against tyranny, and it is about liberty or death. It is what Travis put in that final letter, victory or death, because the victory, my friends, was the fight for the right to self-defense and not being slaves. I want Mexico today to get a Second Amendment. Do you think Mexico would be the murder capital of the world right now? Do you think they would be the murder capital of the world right now if they had a Second Amendment? They are a countrywide Chicago where only the criminals have the guns. And that's why we need to have 1776 worldwide. That's why. Drink some water here. I'm almost done, folks. But I had to come down here just to tell you that the police officers that are here, the Homeland Security people that are here, all of them, you are going to be enslaved by this system. You will be targeted first when the globalists actually take over. And you know that in your gut. And there is an awakening happening worldwide. And we are that tip of the spear. And I am so proud of Texas. Woo! We will take our rights back in San Antonio. We will take our rights back in Austin. We will take our rights back in Chicago. We will take our rights back in Beijing. We will take our rights back in Mexico City. We will take our rights back in Australia and England and everywhere else, because there is a worldwide awakening that is happening right now. We must hang together and retake Texas and then the Republic, because the globalists know the world is waking up to them, so they are accelerating a program to take over. We are in a key juncture in history. You can politically see it, you can feel it, you know it, and that's why I admire people like Martin Luther King, who would be arrested for his basic rights and to stand up against laws that were unconstitutional. And it's the same thing with the folks that are wearing their firearms openly, which is already legal and lawful in many states. In other areas, those laws are what are in violation of the supreme law of the land, the Bill of Rights, and the Constitution that only points out God-given basic rights that were there all along, but we have to breathe life into them. In closing, the reason we have to do this, and an example of the tyranny we face, is that everyone I know who lives in Hayes County, Williamson County, Travis County, and even in more rural areas than that, on 100-acre, 200-acre farms, are having folks move in, great folks who are ignorant. We need to wake them up and save them. They've been brainwashed. They're zombies. They're coming in and calling the police on folks when they're deer hunting or target shooting, and the police actually show up and arrest people even though there's no law. because they've been told by the feds and get the 30 pieces of silver to do it. They are persecuting gun owners everywhere. We are a persecuted group because the globalists know that we're the seed of political understanding that will sweep away their tyranny. And that is why they're coming after us. So we have to either get on our knees as slaves or get on the offense and take this country back. Remember what Dianne Feinstein said. She said, if I could get the votes, listen, Miss America, turn in all your guns. They want all our guns. They're not misguided. They're not misguided liberals. They are authoritarians who are arming to the teeth against us. They want to make us their slaves. And to Obama and Dianne Feinstein and all the tyrants like Joe Biden and all those that came before them, you can take my gun from my cold dead hand. In the words of Charlton Heston. But believe me, we're not going to lay down if you offensively attack us. We're going to stand up, just as they did at Lexington and Concord. They didn't shoot first. They didn't ask for the trouble. But they said if they mean to have a war, they're going to have one. Because these globalists, they are the usurpers that have come into our country and taken it over. They are the occupiers. They have captured our nation. They brag that they've captured America. Well, to chase Manhattan, to all the big mega banks, you don't run this country, you've stolen it by fraud, and we've identified you, and we're taking the republic back. God bless you all. Yeah! 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 And don't be mean to the Million Mile March, all 5 of them. These are pathetic zombies. Just realize they're stupid victims that want us to live like they do slaves.
I don't know if he blew his voice out of the microphone. Tell you what, I'm pumped.
He doesn't need a mic, does he?
All right. Hey, our next speaker, I got to meet this man when we did our Come and Take It Nacogdoches event, one of our smaller events that we do around the state. We're trying to hit every county in Texas with some sort of event. I've been walking around talking to people. We've got people here from as far away as New Mexico, Arizona, Missouri. Someone came down from Missouri. Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas. Florida. We got some Florida back here too. Our rights are national. Anyway, I met this fine American up in Nacogdoches, and I want to tell you something. I am proud as a Texan to have someone like Senator Cruz in the Senate. But I am sorely disappointed in having a senator like Senator Cornyn in the Senate. Dwayne Stovall is an average Texan. He's a father, a husband, a friend, a neighbor, a small businessman, and all he wants is to be free. Free for his children and for his future generations and for all Texans to be free. He was compelled to step up and run for the United States Senate and perform his duties as originally designed to protect the best interests of Texas. If you want an oath keeper in office, someone that reveres the Constitution, we need oath keepers in office, and Dwayne Stovall is one of them. I'd like to introduce him right now.
I'm going to tell you what I told everybody at Nacogdoches. There's a lot of long guns here, and there's a lot of concealed here. I'm a CHL holder myself. Stand down with those guns for the first 10 minutes I'm talking, because you're going to get a little upset. We've all been indoctrinated. We've got a century of it. There's a larger issue here. Second Amendment issues are huge, but there's even a bigger one. We've all been indoctrinated into nationalist viewpoints, something that's totally the opposite of what the Constitution created. One of the basic and most defining principles of the Constitution is federalism. For those that don't know what that is, federalism is that the The expansive powers reside with the states. You and I, as Texans, we're to manage the affairs of Texas. Okies in Oklahoma, Cajuns in Louisiana, and so on and so forth. That is the basis of the republic. As of right now, we have been nationalized. I'm going to ask you a question, and this will clear your mind real quick. How many people here know what the Chicago or the McDonald v. Chicago lawsuit was? Man in Chicago wanted to have a gun in his home for protection. Chicago banned guns. It went through the Illinois judiciary, got the Illinois Supreme Court, and they ruled no. People in Chicago want to ban guns. They ban guns. NRA went crazy. The GOA went crazy, and all the Tea Party and Liberty groups went crazy, and they shoved it up the federal judiciary. And 3 years ago, the federal judiciary ruled, and it said, nope, that man can have a gun because the Second Amendment protects his rights. This is where you better hold your guns. What we did was we gave sanction to 9 unelected, well-connected lawyers to infringe on our guns. Under federalism, if people in another state, and I'm speaking specifically to Texans, in Texas we want open carry. We want to have the right to bear arms.
Yes, sir.
But if the people in another state elect individuals to go to their state house and to pass legislation that does so much as ban guns in their state, what business is it of ours? Here's the situation. I suggest you read the preamble to the Federal Bill of Rights. Read it. It's crystal clear. Men in Philadelphia, Eldridge Jerry, George Mason, Edmund Randolph would not sign off on that Constitution in Philadelphia because they thought it would get too large. It was not limited enough. There were not enough restrictions. The only reason they took it to the states and agreed to push it through, and it barely ratified, was if they had one condition. The first order of business would be to put further constraints on this new government. They did not want it tyrannizing the states. Remember the Declaration of Independence. They are free and independent states. Well, guess what? We are no longer federal. We are national. Today, right now, in Texas, we have to fight with a national government over whether or not burning a flag is free speech, or whether or not pornography is art, or whether or not we can pray at a football game. That's none of their business. The Federal Bill of Rights is a restriction on the federal government only. This has only been changed in the last century, generally, a little over 100 years, and it's been done through the judiciary. The Supreme Court has basically taken the Constitution and done exactly what Thomas Jefferson said. He said the Constitution was no more than wax in the hands of the judiciary. They could do with it what they want and make it mean what they want. I suggest you read the preamble to the Bill of Rights. There's another thing. I'm a common sense guy. I've only learned all this in the last few years of my life. I took it up myself. I got tired of listening to sound bites. I went back to the source documents. I'm pissed. Look, today, we don't manage anything. We live in a United State, singular. Think about it. Our state is like a county. All we do is administrate the whims of a few elite in a town far, far away. That's where you're at. Now, back to the common sense aspect. Think for just 1 second. Why are there 50 different constitutions with 50 different bills of rights? Why is that? If we're all going to be relegated to live by one supposed limited Constitution and Bill of Rights. Read the preamble. They meant what they said. Now back to Texas. This is where the battle's going to be. If you're not from Texas, carry this message home. It will be in your state. The fact is, we have a Bill of Rights in Texas. Does it protect our right to bear arms? Yes. What's the last caveat? I could ask Mr. Patterson to quote this. He can. I'll paraphrase. Texas reserves the right to legislate the wearing of those arms towards safety. Let me explain something to you. Does politics move right? Does it become more conservative? 25 years from now, if we keep electing progressive, phony Republican conservatives to the state legislature in the state of Texas, they're going to interpret our Bill of Rights in the state of Texas to mean not only can you not wear it, you can't have it because it's not safe, and we're smart enough to tell you. I'm telling you right now, if you understand federalism, you're ahead of the game. If you don't, go research it yourself, because what happens is we've given up our power to these 9 unelected beings. So 25 years from now, on a national scale, people, they're going to wake up one day and be even more liberal than they are today, which is way more liberal than they were 50 years ago. And they're going to decide nationally that it is unsafe for us to have guns because they're so dangerous. We're going to ban them nationally. And our children are going to say, you can't do that. And they're going to say, we can because your grandparents gave us the sanction. I don't mean to make your brains do cartwheels. I'm just telling you that's how this transition happens. That's how we get progressive. That's how they have circumvented us. The fact is, we are a free people. Whether you believe you are born with divine, God-given rights or it's just your humanity, we're all in the same boat. We want liberty. We want freedom. Anytime you allow 546 people to try and manage the day-to-day lives of over 300 million individuals, you have a problem. And fellas, we got a problem. It's huge. We have been nationalized. Don't forget that. What they do in another state is their business. There's literally a lawsuit from 1833 where the Supreme Court literally ruled and wrote that the Federal Bill of Rights is only a restriction on the federal, and that states could write laws that were adverse to the Bill of Rights in the federal, and they couldn't do anything about it. You know why? Because if a state passes laws that infringe on their citizens' liberty, they need the freedom to say, oh, I need to go to Texas, and go to Texas. We're doing away with that. Tyranny is growing, and we're giving it support. I'm just trying to bring everybody to the light here. 10 years ago, I was the biggest neocon you ever met. You could not drop enough bombs. We could not create enough freedom. We will bomb you into freedom. Today, after going back to the source documents and bringing myself through this personal, arduous task of self-education, the light went off. And folks, when it goes off, it doesn't go, it comes on. And when it comes on, it doesn't go off. You can't convince me of any other thing. There's not a lawyer on this planet that can convince me that an amendment to free slaves was a tool to incorporate the Federal Bill of Rights onto the states. If you're writing things down, write down incorporation doctrine. It's an abomination the federal government has used to take away the sovereignty of the states. We have got to fight the battle in Texas. And you've got to get your state legislators in Texas to draw lines and put verbiage in that say we will not participate because the federal government is not to infringe. Infringe is the broadest term you can use. They can't get near it, they can't talk about it, they can't be around it. But when we give them sanction by clapping because they give someone a state, they take away their right to rule in their own state, we are giving them the power. And what did we say earlier? Any government that has the power to give you a right has the power to take it away. Well, folks, we're halfway down the path. We've already given 9 unelected, well-connected people the power to take it away if they choose to in the future. Everybody's going to be scratching your pumpkin about that the rest of the day. But I can't help it. I got to say this everywhere I go because this message is serious. We're being nationalized. And folks, yes, I'm running for a U.S. Senate seat, but that's because that position has been bastardized. That position is to represent the state of Texas only. You understand? That's the undying loyalty you must have. You can't be a nationalist. You've got to be Jefferson. You can't be Hamilton. The situation we have today is grave, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I'm telling you, as Texans, we've got to come together. We've got to get a hold of the state capital in Texas, and we've got to get people who are at the federal level who are willing to put their foot down and say, we're not going to do this in Texas. Understand? Now look, I'm going to tell you what I see out here in this group right now. When William Barrett Travis wrote in 1836 that he was not going to surrender, never going to surrender, that he was going to have victory or death. A man I highly respect, and I'm a little sad about today. Bum Phillips passed away yesterday down here at Goliad. He wrote about that, and he actually said that when William Barrett Travis wrote that, he thinks he knew what he meant. He thinks he was saying that he and his men were of a hotter fire. I'm telling you, we are the hotter fire. And you better send people to represent you who are willing to die for liberty. And I don't mean jokingly, I mean seriously. That's where we're at. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody. If you got any questions, come see me.
Thank you. If you want any more information on open carry or your commemorative T-shirts, there's a 2013 Line in the Sand event today. We have some over at the table right over there. I want you to look around you today. These are all true patriots. These are your family. These are the ones that are going to be with us, organizing local open carry walks, education of the public, and when needed, the local police. We had a really inspirational speaker at our Come and Take It Temple event, and we've invited him back again to say a few words to you. Please welcome Raphael to the stage.
Good morning, Texas! I am Raphael. I am a free man in the free state of Texas. I intend to keep it that way. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a professor. I am a free man. I came from Africa. I was born in Africa. I came here the legal way. Not the Obama way. Read my lips. I came here legally. Not the Obama way. I came here in 1970. I served all of you. I served the United States Army. I served the Constitution. I am a free man. Lips, everybody. Please understand. A dog with his tail between his legs. Don't speak. Don't say anything. Do what I tell you. That is not freedom. Do you understand me? It is not freedom. It is control of the people. Thank you. God bless America. God bless all of you. God bless Texas. Woo! I am a Christian right here. If you don't like my Christianity, if you don't like God and Jesus, it's simple. Buzz off! Get the hell out of my face! Because You don't have the right to tell me what to do. America is the only nation on the planet where I do not work for the government. The government works for me. Put it in your head. District of corruption. Hear me out. District of corruption. I don't work for you. What I have here on my back is my right. It is not to go hunting. I could care less about going hunting. This is my freedom. This is my right. God, the Constitution, gave it to me. It's mine. Don't even think, don't even try, because I will not comply. Simple as that. Thank you, my friends. Thank you. Sorry, and I've been 2 years younger. Things would have been different. I am an armed citizen. You better believe it. I got it here. I got it here. It is my right. An armed citizen is a polite citizen. An armed citizen is a law-abiding citizen. Thank you. I need a break. Thank you. Bless you. Bless you, all of you. God bless America. Come here the legal way, not the Obama way. I did it. I did it. I had funds not to be a burden to the government, not to be a burden to the people of this nation. That is the law. That is the law. Follow the law. Jumping the fence. Come here. I'll give you everything for free. That is not the law. Thank you. And God bless my friend Gary. Bless you, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Raphael. Oh, wow. The next speaker, Kathy Glass, spoke at the Come and Take It event that we had in Temple some months ago. I still see some familiar faces from then. Thanks for coming out. She's campaigned in the 2010 election for Texas governor as a libertarian. She believes our gun rights are essential to a return to constitutional government by nullifying unconstitutional federal acts. Because the problems that existed in 2010 are even worse, and the remedies are still the same, Kathy is once again running for Texas governor in 2014. She's here to tell us about her plan for Texas independence and how open carry fits into that plan. I'll give you Kathy Glass.
To the people of Texas and all Americans in the world. You can tell me where those words come from. You're up there at Travis, right here. his victory of death, letter from the Alamo. We remember those words because they're not just words, but words born of mighty deeds. Deeds that changed the course of history. Because what would America have been without Texas? How did we get to this point? How did we get to the place where we're actually afraid that we're going to lose our liberty, our Constitution, and our country, and our guns? Well, Washington is broken. The two-party system is corrupt and broken. Neither can fix themselves, and they won't be reformed from within. We got to chart a new course, a course away from Washington and outside the two-party system. That's why I'm running for governor as a libertarian.
What's wrong?
Our biggest problem is not a federal government that refuses to respect its constitutional limits. That's bad enough. The real problem is that the states and its citizens let them get away with it. Our founders knew they were going to do this. This would not be news to them. That's why they designed the Constitution the way they did with the 10th Amendment there. That's why they expected the state who created the federal government to stop it when that federal government, that agent, overstepped its authority. And the states didn't do it. So that's what we've got to start doing. This nullification under the 10th Amendment is what we could have been doing, should have been doing all along. And we've got to start now. So why aren't we? That's the question. If I get a debate with him, I will. Otherwise, I'll tell you what he'd say. We are in a battle for America, and Texas is the battleground. But we're not battle ready because we have no leaders. That's why we don't have. I want to be a leader in the battle for America here in Texas by leading the charge of nullification of unconstitutional federal acts. But we are our leaders. We are our elected leaders. I want to be a leader. I see leaders out here. You, people that are leaders now and can be, and need to be. But I don't see our elected officials, except Jerry Patterson. Give him a good applause for that. And Jerry, if you're still here, if for whatever reason that lieutenant governor thing doesn't work out, I'm going to need an adjutant general for the Texas State Guard. But this plan of nullification, I don't have time to go into that, but let me just explain it by referring to a little bit of Texas history. If a federal tyrant demands your weapons against the existing Constitution, what are you going to do? You're going to say, well, what did we do? We did. You said, we will not comply. No, that's close. They said, we will nullify. No, they didn't say that exactly. No, they said, if you want our guns and our liberty that bad, you're just going to have to, everybody, come and take it. So that was maybe the original act of nullification in Texas. We got off started pretty well. We just haven't kept it up, but we can do it again.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
And I ran for governor in 2010.
That's good right there. No.
You going to run for president?
That's good. Leave it alone.
I said, I want to be Texas governor. Why would I accept a demotion?
Now, I don't know about this other.
Well, that's funny but true. Because in this plan,
it is pushed into the camera.
That I have, I wish I could go into more detail, but I don't have time. You'll have to come and talk to me about it afterwards.
I don't know.
In my plan for Texas independence, every single aspect is geared for the time when Washington is not just broken but collapsed. And everything we ever got from the federal government, like 35% of our state budget, is no longer there. So my plan is to make us able to stand on our own 2 feet when that day comes, probably not too far down the road, and doing what we should have been doing all along. And in this plan, Texas governor is the most important office on the face of the earth. And if you don't know that, if you don't understand the awesome powers and responsibility of this office, you shouldn't be seeking it, and you shouldn't give it to him. They're not only wanting our guns, they want our water. November 5th, we're going to vote on some changes to the Texas Constitution, and Proposition 6 is one you ought to vote against. NICS Prop 6. What is it about? Well, I'll just tell you this. It creates a 3-man board appointed by the governor that pretty much controls Texas groundwater. Nobody should have that much power. But what would the rich and powerful do to control that one person, the governor, who controls everything else? Well, for starters, I think they put $20 million in these campaign funds. So this is all the more reason you need a governor that is not in the pockets of the special interests. Ronald Reagan said, there is a place from which we will not retreat. There is a place to which they may no longer advance, they being the forces of tyranny. There is a price we will not pay. There is a cost too dear. Well, the place from which we will not retreat, our line in the sand is in the shape of the state of Texas.
Circuit now. That might be better. It might have been that. I don't know.
They may no longer advance here. Yeah, the forces of tyranny have got Washington, D.C. I can see that. And they may have New York and California and New Jersey. But just we need to tell them this in words so clear, a voice so loud that they can hear it in Washington, D.C. You can't have our guns, and you can't have Texas. The price too dear is our guns. That's why I like this open carry phenomena. It's great for people to see honest, peaceful men and women carrying openly, peacefully, uneventfully, to prove that you've nothing to fear from an honest person displaying their weapons. And apparently some of our law enforcement and some of our elected officials need to learn this lesson too. But we're good educators, aren't we? But they also need to know that there is something to fear when citizens are afraid to display their weapons, because this is an essential part of nullification. I mean, if we're going to be pushing back on unconstitutional acts, we hope that that remains a peaceful process. It can be and it should be. But we also know that if you're going to walk softly and carry a big stick, your enemies have got to know that you've got the big stick. And it's like Admiral Yamamoto said, why Japan couldn't invade America. There'd be a gun behind every blade of grass. And I say, one, we're Texans. We probably got 4 or 5 apiece that we're all about. Ronald Reagan said in that same speech that America is freedom's last stand. Well, we know that Texas is America's last stand. Reagan also said, there is a place in space and time, and beyond space and time, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. These men at Alamo probably didn't like it, but they did their duty. They knew their duty, and they did it. What is our duty? Well, it's not as well defined as what those men did, so you kind of have to find your own duty. I know that duty calls me to run for Texas governor and to be governor, and to the best of my ability. So while I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, you may know your duty, or some of you may still be trying to figure it out, but you will. We all have to. Because whatever you find duty calls you to do, I think we will all agree that we will do that. We will not back down. We will not stand down. We will not be pushed aside. We will not flinch from doing what we have to do to save this country and our own liberty. As Colonel Travis said, there is no retreat. There is no surrender. That's the way I believe, and if you believe it too, I'd like you to say it with me. No retreat, no surrender, no retreat, no surrender, no retreat, no surrender. So let's go out and do again what Texas has done before, and that is change the course of history. I have staff passing out literature. I'll be glad to speak with any of you. Or check me out on kathyglass.org or Facebook, Kathy Glass for Texas Governor. Thank you.
All right. Y'all ain't tired yet, are you? Right. Tired of not having freedom. All right, our next guest. I kind of mentioned these a little while ago as a... most of you might know I'm in the Army. Been in the Army 19 years. And when I joined 19 years ago, I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I didn't just do that to get college money. I didn't do that because I wanted, a government job or anything like that. I did it because I love my country and I love my Constitution. And as such, I joined an organization called Oath Keepers. Yeah! Oath Keepers. You've probably seen the shirts around. I'm going to let them talk about it. But if you take an oath, regardless of what the reason is for that oath, if you are a public official, I hope to God that that means something to you, and it's just not a reason to get power, to get influence, to get over on things, to get out of tickets, whatever it may be, because you're still a citizen. Only you've taken an oath to actually do something to defend our Constitution. And I urge you to join the Oath Keepers. I want to bring up the president of the Texas chapter of Oath Keepers, Mr. Jay Stang. How y'all doing today? I love every military service out there, but I want to call one out in particular. How many United States Marines we got out here? U.S. Marines. Yeah, there are the few, the proud, right? There are not too many of us. It's all two of us. I think there may be two more somewhere. Hoorah. My name is Jay Stang. I'm the chapter president of Texas Oath Keepers. And in the time I have today, what I want to talk to you about is the Second Amendment. Consider, for example, the first phrase of the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia. That phrase has probably caused more controversy and discussion than almost anything else in the Constitution over the past 150 years, right? What does well-regulated mean? Well, what does it mean today? You probably have a picture in your mind of the DMV in your mind, or the driver's license office, right? Is that really what it means? What did it mean in 1789 when they wrote that? It meant well-trained, well-armed, well-prepared, and in proper or regular working order. How many of you were hanging out at your grandma's house and you saw the clock on the wall that says regulator? What did that mean? Did it mean that it made sure the time was ticking away correctly? No, it meant that it was working in regular order and it worked properly, right? That is exactly what well-regulated means in the Second Amendment.
as an example, 60 years ago, what did the word gay mean? What does it mean now? Oh, something a little different, right? So, think about that. In 1789, well-regulated meant everybody was well-trained, well-armed, and well-prepared. And then the militia, of course, is every able-bodied person in the country ages 18 to 45. And you can even look at this in Title 10, Section 311 of the United States Code. And then you'll also learn that the National Guard is not and never was part of the militia. It was federal from the beginning. So when the National Guard puts up their poster that says we're 370 years old, I urge you to call the National Guard and say you're full of crap. And then you will talk to a Chief Master Sergeant who disagrees with you. As did I. You need to read what the Second Amendment says, and you need to read what it meant back in 1789. There are two forms of dictatorship on this planet. There's a civilian form and a military form. The founders of this country decided to take the third way and secure the military power of the country in the hands of the people. That's what the Second Amendment is for, to retain the military power in the hands of we the people, so that dictatorship, if it came to these shores, would have a lot harder time manifesting itself. If we did not have guns, where would we be? We'd be in a lot worse place than we are now. You've all heard the quote from Yamamoto, the Imperial Navy of Japan admiral that led the attack on Pearl Harbor. What did he say about invading the United States? We've all heard it, right? There's a rifle behind every blade of grass. It would be foolish. There's still a rifle behind every blade of grass today, and there's probably a rifle behind every person in the country today. That's what it's about. And I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen or what people are doing, because I'm not a prognosticator, but I will tell you what has happened. In every country where genocide has occurred, it has always been preceded by gun control. Gun registration, gun confiscation, genocide. Over and over and over again. Even in Rwanda, they passed laws to take guns away from whoever they wanted to kill. Even in China, Soviet Union, Armenia, Turkey, in World War I. Every single time, gun control has always preceded genocide. And it starts small with gun registration. And then it moves to gun confiscation. And then it moves to the cattle cars. Now again, I'm not going to tell you this is going to happen here. I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen. All I'm going to say is, it has happened every single time. Is it going to happen here? Not on our watch. Retain your guns, and you will retain your freedom. If you give up your guns, then the future is not going to look bright for us. But what did the founders say that a well-regulated or a well-armed, trained, and in regular working order militia was necessary for? The security of a free state. And they're right. Without free men owning weapons, the security of a free state is in question. We didn't always have a large standing army or standing Marine Corps or Navy or Air Force. For most of our history, the military was only maybe 50,000 people. That's not going to protect a country as large as ours. Think about the Canadians, 33 million people in a country larger than this. What would have happened if a foreign enemy were to land on the shores of Vancouver? You're going to throw beer at them? That'd be a waste of beer, right? The Canadians are screwed. The Canadian military is 30,000 people. How are they, NYPD's bigger. How are they going to defend the huge country of Canada? They're probably betting that no one's going to invade them, right? But you can't always count on that. So you've got to have something to back up the regular military and the regular armed forces. And that's why we have the American people. The second half of the Second Amendment says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Are the people in the Second Amendment somehow magically different from wherever else in the Constitution says the people? It always means the same thing wherever it's used. The people is the people. Everybody. We the people. The Second Amendment is not for defending yourself against crime. It is not for going deer hunting or dove hunting or competing in competitions. It is not for any of those reasons. The reason for the Second Amendment is spelled out right there in the middle. It is necessary for the security of a free state. Now in Texas, we used to have a good law that pertained to the militia. In recent years, that's changed And the reserve militia is some amorphous mass of people that is not explained. The Texas State Guard is part of the Second Amendment militia. That's what it says in Texas state law. But the way the Texas militia law reads now is atrocious. The only thing I can see them doing is going into the River Center Mall there with a bullhorn and saying, everybody in the reserve militia muster up. And then you look at him like he had 6 heads. Who are you talking to? Well, the reserve militia is every able-bodied male in the state, right? That's what Texas law says. It doesn't even say that. It just says the reserve militia. So you have to wonder who exactly is in that. Are they trained? Are they well prepared? Are they well armed? Are they in regular working order? I can answer definitely negative to the regular working order because no one knows they're in it. No one knows that the Texas state law says everybody else in the country is in the reserve militia. The law in this state needs to change. But in the meantime, there is a remedy in lieu of the state remedy that you can pursue right now. It's called your county sheriff. Your county sheriff can organize a sheriff's posse, and you can be a part of it. You can be certified by CERT. You can be certified for search and rescue. You can be a volunteer firefighter, a reserve deputy sheriff. There are so many opportunities that we can work towards to restoring a true constitutional militia in this country. And that is what we need in order to remain free. Call your local sheriff. Find out where he stands on the Constitution. Find out if he's a politician or if he takes his oath seriously. At the first convention of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, we had 7 sheriffs out of 255 from Texas show up. I'm embarrassed. How about you? I live in Hays County, and my sheriff showed up to the CSPOA. That's right. So, 6.5. Maybe. So we got a lot of work to do, Texans, right? We got 240 some odd sheriffs to talk to. Now, 3 or 4 of them are probably going to be not worth your time, right? Houston, Austin, Dallas. But we'll talk to them anyway, because they need to know that they are not doing their jobs. And they need to know if they're not doing their jobs, they might get kicked out of the next election. Isn't that right? We still have the ballot box and the soap box. We've got a couple other boxes. But let's work with the ballot box for right now. And if you are a military veteran in this crowd and you have not joined Oath Keepers, I see a couple active duty Air Force guys walking around here. If you're an active duty Air Force guy and you don't know what Oath Keepers is, you need to go to the internet and check this out. And if you're standing in this crowd with a rifle and you are not a member of Oath Keepers, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Get her done. Join Oath Keepers. Swell our ranks. But if you are a card-carrying member of Oath Keepers, you're just the tip of the iceberg. We have no idea what our true numbers are ideologically, and that's how we want it. Because if we don't know how many of us there are, nobody else does either. And the whole idea is that if someone gives, and it doesn't matter what political party they're from, it does not matter. Equal opportunity destruction of the Constitution happens on both sides of the aisle. Sometimes they even reach across the aisle to do it, right? If they give an order that is one of our 10 orders that should not be obeyed, we want to introduce a reasonable doubt in their mind that that order will be carried out. Because none of them know how to operate an Abrams tank or drop bombs or calculate a dope for the next shot. They're totally dependent on the guys that actually carry out those orders. But if they have an idea that those orders might not be carried out, they might never give those orders. And that is the best solution, isn't it? We don't want those orders to be given. And what we've learned from talking to a lot of people is that up to 75% of everybody in this country's special forces is on our side. And up to 30% of the regular armed forces is on our side. I'll take those odds any day. Any day of the week. But why stop at 30? Let's hit 40. Let's hit 50. Let's educate every single person who has taken the oath to the Constitution, and let's tell them what they took an oath to and why they took it, and that they have an obligation, an individual obligation, to keep their oath. We applied back to Nazi war criminals who weren't even Americans, right? We told them, just following orders is not an excuse. Off to the firing squad with you. They weren't Americans. They had never sworn an oath to our Constitution, but we still held them to that standard. Just following orders is not an excuse. What do the Park Service rangers say in all the national parks that are closed? I'm sorry, we're just following orders. Sorry, I shot your grandma, I was just following orders. Is that acceptable? No. Just following orders is never acceptable.
peacefully disobey. Tyranny will not happen unless unconstitutional orders are followed. In our ranks, the Oath Keepers in Dallas, there's a man named Gunther Spence, who was a lieutenant colonel in the East German Army in 1989. He was the commander of the East German Infantry Battalion that kept the security of the Berlin Wall. He got a phone call one day and said, "Lieutenant Colonel, there are people trying to take down the Berlin Wall. Kill them all." And he put down the phone and said, "Nein." And the wall came down. He lives in Dallas, Texas. Watch this video on oathkeepers.org. And you can see what one man who says no can do. You think you're just one guy, you are. But one man saying no can change the world. I'd like to introduce next the founder and president of Oath Keepers, who is a disabled Army paratrooper. He's a Yale-educated lawyer. He's a former Ron Paul congressional staffer. But he was in the Army. Stuart Rhodes, come on up! He's also borrowed one of my rifles. My bad. Well, Stuart Rhodes is a pretty awesome guy, but before that, I just had an in-flight change. All right, who's next? All right, come on up, Mike. Or CJ. There you go, Master Sergeant. All right. Anybody lose some gloves? Speakers? Got some gloves up here. All right. Our next guest I'd like to introduce is Mike Vanderboe from Alabama. And he's been a Second Amendment activist for more than 20 years, almost as long as I've been alive. He's the founder of the 3% movement, and he's also a citizen journalist. With the help of fellow blogger David Codrea, he broke the Fast and the Furious scandal story on the internet in December 2010 with his blog, Sipsy Street Irregulars. I want to introduce Mr. Mike Vanderboe.
You'll have to bear with me here. I'm not very good at this speech and stuff. I have to write my speech and then read it. But as he said, my name is Mike Vanderboe, and I'm from the great free state of Alabama, and I'm a 3%er. And this is not the first time Alabamians have come to Texas in her hour of need. There's an Alabama flag hanging in the building behind me there, marking the sacrifice of Alabamians here at the Alamo. But that was the least of my state's losses in your War of Independence. After the surrender and massacre at Goliad, it is said that every single planter family in northern Alabama along the Tennessee River went into mourning, grieving for their lost sons whose lives were squandered by Colonel Fannin. Alabamians have since then been a little more than skeptical about Texas colonels. But for myself, I expect to make it back to Alabama in one piece, although I suppose that's up to the city leadership of San Antonio. But for those of you who don't know me, if you need to pigeonhole my politics, I consider myself a Christian libertarian. I believe in God, free men, free markets, the rule of law under the Founders' Republic, and that the Constitution extends to everyone regardless of race, creed, color, or religion. I most especially believe in the right of the people to keep and bear arms as the ultimate guarantor of liberty. I've also been called a seditionist by members of the current regime. If faithfully fulfilling my oath to the Founders' Republic and unrelenting hostility to those who would undermine and overthrow it makes me a seditionist, then I cheerfully plead guilty. The 3% movement I founded has been denounced by that paragon, of moral virtue, Bill Clinton, and I'm a perennial honorable mention on the Southern Poverty Law Center's list of dangerous folks. I have even been the subject of an 18.5-minute rant by Rachel Madcow on MSNBC. Yeah. And the current Attorney General of the United States knows and despises me by name because of the Fast and Furious scandal that with my friend David Codrea I broke news of on the internet. Eric Holder would not be surprised to know that the feeling is mutual. Now, the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence calls me an insurrectionist because I don't believe, as they do, in a government monopoly of violence, but rather in a literal interpretation of the Second Amendment as a bulwark against tyranny. Well, as my friend Kurt Hoffman says, it is better to be despised by the despicable than admired by the admirable. And I suppose today will only reinforce my enemies' opinions of me, but I think I can bear the burden. But as you can see by my hat, I've also been forced by circumstances to be a smuggler. You see, the current spate of citizen disarmament laws in states like Colorado, Connecticut, Maryland, New York has led me on a campaign to resist, evade, defy, and smuggle in opposition to those laws. Now this is my specialty, a 30-round standard capacity magazine. So far, my friends and I have broken the laws regarding those in 3 states. And we intend to do it in every state that bans it. We don't smuggle for money. We give the magazines away to people who have committed no crime, save the ones that these state officials, these petty tyrants, have created. So am I a lawbreaker? They certainly think so. But it is an established principle of American jurisprudence that an unconstitutional law is null and void. So I suppose one man's criminal is another man's freedom fighter. Amen. Now this same principle was at the center of the civil rights movement in the 60s, as was the concept of armed civil disobedience and the right of self-defense against uniformed criminals acting out their prejudices on the innocent under color of law. Few, however, know this part of our history. Raise your hands if you've ever heard of the Deacons for Defense and Justice. How many of you ever heard of the Deacons? Not very many. The Deacons formed black self-defense militias made up mostly of veterans of World War II and Korea, often carrying the weapons they had smuggled back from the wars. And they protected the advocates of nonviolent resistance. It's ironic, huh? We've all heard of Martin Luther King's Gandhian principles, but few know that when he came to my adopted hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, he slept soundly and safely because armed men like Condoleezza Rice's father guarded him with firearms in their hands and determination in their hearts. The Deacons were the 3%ers of their time and place. And like the Deacons, we 3%ers are here today not to break the law, but rather to reinforce those laws against those who would force an opinion-driven agenda as punishment upon the law-abiding under the mere color of law. The concept of the 3% harkens back to the Revolution, when as best we can determine only 3% of American colonists actually took the field against the king. They were actively supported by perhaps another 10%, with a further 20% approving, but merely acting as cheerleaders from the sidelines. Likewise, a third of the population supported the king, and the final third blew with the wind and took what came. Today, this third is watching
It's up there
Dancing
now.
with the
That was what
Stars
it was.
and gossiping about the Kardashians.
Yep.
Some things never change.
That's it. That was it.
The lesson of our revolution, as relevant today as then, is that history is made by determined minorities. For good or ill, this has been true throughout the ages. The founders were such a determined minority. So too are the people today who are determined to subvert and overthrow the founders' republic and replace it with some supposedly benevolent collectivist board. To those people, the 3% of today declare, we will not disarm. You cannot convince us. You cannot intimidate us. You can kill us if you think you can. But remember, we'll shoot back. And I might add, there's more of us than there are of you. And we're not going away. So, it's your move, Mr. Wannabe Tyrant. It's your move. You know, another way of putting this is that when democracy turns to tyranny, the armed citizenry still gets to vote. This is not sedition. This is not insurrection. It is a philosophy that the founders embodied and would endorse today. The men who died at the point of Mexican bayonets behind those walls would endorse it as well. This philosophy does not even constitute revolution.
Okay.
We don't want to overthrow the government. We simply want to restore it to the founders' model of what a republic should be. It is that determined minority of so-called progressives, the statists, the collectivists, call them what you will, who have spent the last century waging a quiet revolution against the Constitution and the rule of law, embodied by the Founders' Republic. Thus, if you wish to be precise, we are the forces of counter-revolution to the collectivist revolution.
That's our front shot now. Yeah, it's going
We are indeed the forces of restoration. And whether we can restore the Republic remains to be seen. I know of no example in history where a republic so corrupted, so undermined by its internal and external enemies, has saved itself from bloody collapse. So it remains to be seen. But I do know we must try. There is abroad in our land a growing thought that America is now in fact two countries sharing a common border and mostly a common language, but divided along the answer to this question: does the government serve the people, or do the people serve the government?
Not a trick question.
Now, Mika Brzezinski of MSNBC recently reinforced this idea when she accused your Senator Ted Cruz of not being loyal to or caring about, quote, the country. Now, it's apparent to me that Ted Cruz is in fact loyal to my country and to his, which is the Founders' Republic. It is equally apparent that Mika Brzezinski does not see him as loyal to her country. She believes that people should serve the government. Ted Cruz and the rest of us, and I'm sure all here, answer the question differently. Now, this is not a question whose answer can be finessed, compromised, or negotiated. It is either one or the other. It is either the answer of individual liberty or that of the collectivist board. It cannot be both. It cannot be part of either. Now, for our part, we'd be happy just to be left alone. But the collectivist impulse, the tyrannical appetite, cannot be readily denied by its practitioners. It is an addiction for which there is no easy 12-step program. And those who possess this insatiable appetite for other people's liberty, property, and lives can only be deterred by the compelling and credible counter-argument that such appetites come with personal consequences for them, consisting at the least of a bad case of indigestion and, if necessary, broken teeth. So, are we irrevocably two countries and not one? We are here today to test that theory. We are here today to learn whether we are two countries or still one, united and indivisible under the Constitution and the rule of law. And I might add that we have the officials of San Antonio to thank for that. When San Antonio enforces its leaders' political opinions under color of law, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Police Chief, they are no better than Bull Connor in Birmingham in 1963, 50 years ago. What we have seen here in this city of the Alamo is not law enforcement. It is agenda enforcement under the color of law, which is itself illegal and unconstitutional. When Police Chief William McManus is quoted as saying that he doesn't care what Texas law is, he is declaring himself to be the modern-day Bull Connor. I hope he wears the name with pride. I'm sure he'll get him an invitation to the next Democrat Party convention. Now, I am shamelessly lifting this next observation from my good friend Bob Wright of New Mexico, who is here today. What is it Barack Obama is fond of saying? Let us be clear. Our constitutional rights are not subject to the anti-firearm neuroses of our liberal neighbors or those of nervous public officials. That is why we are here today on this spot sacred to the liberty of all Americans. That is why we were here, to determine whether we still live in one country or two. The answer is up to the city officials of San Antonio. Are they still part of the Founders' Republic? Do they support the actual rule of law and the Constitution that they took an oath to uphold? Their own declaration of the answer to these questions will be seen on the streets of San Antonio today, going forward. And going forward, not just today when there's thousands of people that are looking on, hundreds of people here who are armed to the teeth. So which is it, Mr. Mayor? Which is it, City Council of San Antonio? Which is it, Chief? You tell us. But take care with your answer. We are the 3%. And we will honor our oaths to the Constitution and the rule of law, even if you will not. Thank you very much.
All right, we're almost done. I want to give you guys a quick 15-minute warning. This is the shotgun that we're raffling off. All right. This is to benefit Open Carry Texas to help us do more of these events. Raffle tickets are $10 a piece. There's only 500 of them total, and we've sold most of them. Over here under this light post, look for Jason to get your tickets. We've also got some AR-15 furniture that we're giving away. We've got this flag that's flying over the Alamo today. It's flying in honor of this event, so you'll get a certificate and that flag. We're giving that away. And a few other things. We got Mark Levin's book, Ameritopia. Oh, commemorative pistol grips for 1911, 3 of them, custom made just for this event. There are only 3 in existence. And because we limited the amount of tickets to 500, you've got a pretty decent chance of winning a shotgun. So it's not like everybody out here is going to get one. Anyway, right over here underneath the light post. I want to go to our next guest, is Mr. Stuart Rhodes. He is the founder and president of Oath Keepers. And I want to really quick address one more time the active duty soldiers here. service members, excuse me, I'm an Army guy, service members, regardless of what branch you're in. And I'm going to say this publicly. If your unit is telling you that you cannot be a member of Oath Keepers, they are lying to you. They are violating your rights, and they need to be reported through the chain of command. You have a right to be a member of Oath Keepers. You have a right not to be harassed for being a member of Oath Keepers. And if they do, there are processes that you can go through JAG and IG and all those kinds of things. And if you're a member of Oath Keepers, you do not have to tell your commander when your meetings are, where your meetings are, who your meetings are with, or any of that stuff. Okay? I just want you to know that. It doesn't matter if you're an E1 or an O10. So, with that said, I want to bring up the founder of Oath Keepers. He served in the U.S. Army as a paratrooper, a former firearms instructor, and he was a member of Dr. Ron Paul's D.C. staff. He's a Yale research scholar and is now writing a book on the dangers of applying the laws of war to the American people. And he's going to be bringing with him Mr. Ren Bodeker. His real name is Warren. This is a World War II veteran. He is an Army paratrooper, did 3 combat jumps in Luzon, New Guinea, and the Philippine Islands. One of those jumps saved 2,146 prisoners that were about to be executed.
Yes. Yes.
He goes by the name Ren because he wanted to take the war out of Warren. So I want to welcome Mr. Stuart Rhodes and World War II hero Ren Bodeker.
Rock us on! He is. Little warrior.
Rick, back in World War II, as he said, he took the war out of his name because he was returning to peace. He had defeated the foreign enemies of the Constitution, and he came home in peace to live his life and raise a family. It's a shame that now, at the twilight of his life, at 90 years of age, he has to stand back up again against the domestic enemies of the Constitution. But that's exactly why he's here. We just flew back in from Washington, D.C. He saw what happened on Sunday, and he wanted to be there. We missed the chance to be there on Sunday. We went there on Wednesday, and he went to the memorial, the World War II memorial, and saw those barricades up, and he told us, this is intolerable. This cannot stand. And so he led us and taken them back down again. We dismantled them, we tore them down, took them across the street, and put them on the lawn across the street. And so for the most of the day, the memorial was left unmolested as intended. He was on an honor flight a year ago. I came with him as an escort. And that means so much to those guys. To be able to go there and say their final piece to their brothers who they lost. A whole wall of stars representing 540,000 Americans lost. And if we let what they fought for be destroyed, then they will curse our name as they should. And so are our children. Something you need to understand. Men like Ren, this is what America really is. And every generation of Americans have had to take a stand. And now it's our watch. You cannot leave it to a 90-year-old World War II vet to do it for you. You gotta do it now. Just like you cannot leave your children to fix the mess that we have caused by our neglect of our duties. How many here have served in the military and swore that oath to the Constitution? Raise your hand. You are still bound by that oath. When does that oath expire? So long as you're on this side of the grass, you better follow his example. Do not be afraid to stand up. But even if you are afraid, stand up anyway. That's what courage is. You think the guys that landed at Iwo Jima were afraid? You think more? Sure they were, but they still went and did it. The guys that landed at Normandy Beach, Iwo Jima, the guy who stood here in the Alamo, understood what it meant to pay the ultimate price. And they did it willingly. You need to embrace your place in history. Don't say to yourself, oh, I wish I'd have been born 2 generations ago. I could live in peace. In between the warriors. No. You were born here at this time as an American for a reason, and it was not to live on your knees. Aristotle said that courage is the first virtue, because without courage, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, how much wisdom you have, how much book learning you have, without courage, nothing else matters. If you know what's right, you need the courage to do what's right. Without courage, your rifles are useless. If you don't have courage, you know what you are? You're a porter, holding that rifle until a real man or woman comes along to use it. That's what you are if you don't have courage. You've got to have courage. Colonel Travis, one of the last things he said from the Alamo in his appeal, he said, "I will hold out as long as I can, but I will comport myself like a soldier, remembering always what is due to my own honor and the honor of my country, and that is victory or death." And just as Captain Henry said, liberty or death. At the Battle of Bunker Hill, there was an old man, much like Red, really old. He'd been a veteran fighting against the French and Indians, but he was there again to fight one more time. Before the battle started, they could see the British crossing the canal with their canoes, with their boats. They knew they were coming. They knew it was coming, a bayonet charge. And he got down on his knees and prayed. So was he praying that God would save him from the bayonets so he survived the battle? No. He got down on his knees and he thanked God for preserving him so he could stand there that one more time and fight. That's what he thanked him for. As CJ said, Ren and his buddies, they knew that there was going to be an execution of over 2,000 men, women, and children in the Los Banos prison camp the next day. And so they saddled up and they parachuted in behind enemy lines, 40 kilometers behind Japanese lines, and they surprised the guards, shot the crap out of the guards, and rescued all of those prisoners. So now Ren wants to say a few words about that. And for those of you who have ever sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution, if you'd like to renew that oath, or if you've never sworn that oath, if you'd like to take it for the first time, to commit to standing as firm as guys like this stand, we'll invite you to do so, and Ren will lead you in that oath ceremony. But do not utter those words unless you had the same resolve that he had, the same resolve that his brothers had, the same resolve that Colonel Travis and his men had. If you don't have the same resolve and take it as seriously, do not sully those words by taking the oath. Only do it if you really mean it. So Ren, thank you for your service, and I want to thank you for being here with us today, and all you've ever done for this country. You're doing it right now. What do you have to say to the folks?
I'm not going to say hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say hello, brothers and sisters. You are what makes life worth living.
You are!
You, the people that stand up for liberty, that's willing to take a stand, no matter what that stand costs. It's time that we wake up the sleeping giant that is in America. I was sleeping, not politically, but I was resting in my home. So I met Stuart Rhodes here, and he had me make another jump. And I've been jumping ever since.
Made one more jump behind enemy lines into Washington, D.C.
I'm more scared to be in front of you than I was when I was making parachute jumps. I want to read to you
Now, when Red leads you in the oath, just repeat after him. Insert your name in there. Okay?
I.
What? Hold on. Raise your right hand. Covers off.
I. Bodecker. I, Warren Bodecker, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
Reservations or purpose of... excuse me one sec, this is in front of my reading. And I take this oath, obligates freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Pledging my life, my fortune, and my sacred honor. So help me God. Thank you much.
Now, Lynn, if you don't mind, if you could talk to every current service person in the military right now, every branch, what would you say to them about their obligation and their duties under their oath?
Our country is in terrible, terrible danger. Our freedoms are in terrible, terrible danger of being lost. I say to anybody, any young man especially, take a stand, even if it costs your life. Life without freedom is nothing. I will wander a little bit here. The government's trying to take my home. I said in the paper, the only way I'll leave my home is feet first, or in cuffs, and it's going to cost them to get me in cuffs. I want to cover a little bit of that jump in where we saved at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We got the notice that there was 2,146 prisoners in Los Banos prison camp in the Philippine Islands. They were going to be shot at 7 o'clock in the morning. 121 of us loaded on planes, and we hit the silk at exactly 7 o'clock, and just high enough that we wouldn't hit the ground, and landed in the prison camp. Released 2,146 with only one person being killed. There was a man from Texas, no less, with a BAR machine gun that was ahead of us. There was a Japanese in a foxhole with a rifle pointing up. You won't believe this. He pulled the trigger and the slug went in right at the curve of his steel helmet. Went through the steel helmet, followed the helmet liner, steel helmet, all the way around, came back out at the curve in the back. Impossible. He's from Texas, a Sergeant Blanchard. I don't know whether he's alive today or not. I was born on a dairy farm in Minnesota. When I was 10 years old, I started packing one of these. And I've had a gun on me or near me the rest of my life. I've hunted for meat, and I've never shot anybody, accidentally or otherwise. Guns don't kill people unless there's somebody behind them purposely killing them. We need to get behind the gun to purposely kill people on the face of this earth today, at whatever the cost. I'm not going to tell you who that's for you to make up your mind. Who needs to be shot? Our government stinks. And I want to bring another thing out I keep bringing out here. I would say 75% of American citizens are captured by a stinking government and a television. turn off your television and do some investigating. Join Oath Keepers. He can put you in action. Here I am. And I can be sat at home in a comfortable chair. But I'd rather be here, and if I could make one more jump, I would gladly give my life to jump into Washington, D.C., on the Capitol grounds, and a few people there I wouldn't mind taking out.
God bless! God bless!
You don't know how thrilling it is to look out and see all you people all around here that are taking a stand for our freedom, not for our government. I'm a constitutionalist, 100%. We need the Constitution Party to come into everybody's home, and we need to vote for people that believe in the Constitution will stand up and defend it with their lives. I think I've said enough. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
You know, folks, and it was the World War II veterans who led the way at picking down those barricades. They showed up for the honor flights. They saw that, and they said, we're not having this. They went right around and went right into the World War II Memorial, and that was the beginning of it. And there were others that were there on Sunday who took it even further and went and deposited those back where they belong, return to sender. But they led by example. Follow their example. Let go of your fear. Colonel Cooper, one last quote before I go. Jeff Cooper once remarked, Marine Colonel Jeff Cooper once said, the rifle itself has no moral stature, since it has no will of its own. Naturally, it may be used by evil men for evil purposes, but there are more good men than evil. And while the latter cannot be persuaded to the path of righteousness by propaganda, they can certainly be corrected by good men with rifles.
Good to see you.
Thanks, folks. You know, my grandfather was really into genealogy. He did it the old way. He went town to town and went through their books. And according to his ledgers, my 8th uncle, Colonel Travis, would probably be smiling at us right now. All of us here that are concerned enough to come out and do something about what's going on in this town, what's going on in America. We're going to be drawing here shortly the raffle for all sorts of wonderful prizes. We're going to be lining up in a few moments as well at the corner down here of the Alamo, and we're going to march down to Travis Park. We're going to have a little town hall style open mic forum. So stick with us and come along on the march. We only got one more speaker left, and save the best for last. Really quick, I want to say again a big hello to Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America.
Yeah! 5 of you.
Ladies, your predictions did not come true. What happened?
Nobody got hurt.
I can't really see out there, but if everybody would do me a favor and just look to your left and right and see if there are any dead people in the audience. If
they're laying everywhere.
I didn't think so.
It's like a carpet of dead bodies.
I also want to thank our unofficial camera crew on the 3rd floor of the building behind us there wearing the SAPD uniforms. Yes, we see you. Don't look so bored. Start a spades match or something. That's what I did in Afghanistan when I was bored. All right, our final speaker today is from Open Carry, Texas. She is our public affairs director, and she's going to read the Travis letter as our final event today. And then as soon as she's done, we'll begin the raffle. This is Miss Victoria Montgomery.
My name's Victoria Montgomery. I'm from Open Carry, Texas. I came into this movement after what I heard happen to C.J. Grisham and couldn't believe it. And it's time for young people to start standing up. I was tired of seeing old people at rallies. I mean, and it's not just for white conservative people. There are Democrats, Libertarians, Constitutionalists, Republicans, whatever. They're all here. They're all fighting for one common purpose, and that's to protect liberty and protect our rights, especially to bear arms.
Well said, lady.
I want to also thank everyone for coming out. Moms Demand Action, you inspired me. Definitely going to go ahead and, when I become a mom, make sure I carry my weapons with me everywhere. I'm not one for curling up into a ball and saying, please don't hit me, when there's a rapist coming at me. And I don't think somebody's going to come after me when I have an AK-47 hanging from my shoulder.
Preach!
Guns are tools. Guns are not evil. The person that carries the gun bears the morality. The person that carries the gun has the choice to do good or evil. And out here, all I see is good. I see good men and women who want to stand up for justice. You know, there's a lot of talk about guns and the violence and crime surrounding guns. But you know, 89 out of 100 people in the United States, and that includes all the liberal states, have guns. Clubs and hammers, on the other hand, are the #1 cause of death in Texas. People use clubs and hammers. So make sure you don't rudely display a club or hammer when you're working on a construction site. I want to thank all the guys that are keeping watch up in that tower, up in the building behind me, wherever you may be. I know you may not agree with this, but we thank you for being here. You know, we thank you for helping keep us safe from each other at this rally. Oh, look, now we got a drone. Nobody fire! Nobody fire! Hold your fire!
$100
It's not Eric Holder, I don't think.
$1,000 bounty on the drone. Drone bounty.
Now, everybody here should know what happened behind me. Everybody should know this whole place. This is all the Alamo. This is all part of the compound. Where we stand.
Shotgun flat
Men
shot.
fought, and they bled to death.
There's
for
a new
our
round
rights.
called the drone flat shot.
Many, many years ago. Now, Colonel William Travis wrote a letter to everybody to let them know what was going on here. And after he read the letter, he drew a line in the sand with his sword. And he said, stand with me, step over the line and stand with me. And everybody joined him except for one coward. Moses Rose was his name. And of course, Moses Rose was the only man who lived to tell about it. Go figure. Everybody else died for our rights, died for our freedom. And we're here to pay homage to them. And I'm going to go ahead and read this letter.
What's that?
Do you know the name of this speaker?
To the people of Texas and all Americans in the world. Fellow citizens and compatriots, I am besieged by 1,000 or more of the Mexicans under Santa Anna. I have sustained a continual bombardment and cannonade for 24 hours and have not lost a man. The enemy has demanded a surrender at discretion. Otherwise, the garrison are to be put to the sword. If the fort is taken, I have answered the demand with a cannon shot, and our flag still waves proudly from the walls. I shall never surrender or retreat. Then I call on you in the name of liberty, of patriotism, and everything dear to the American character to come to our aid. with all dispatch. The enemy is receiving reinforcements daily and will no doubt increase to 3,000 or 4,000 in 4 or 5 days. If this call is neglected, I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his own honor and that of his country. Victory or death! P.S. The Lord is on our side. When the enemy appeared in sight, we had not 3 bushels of corn. We have since found in the deserted houses 80 or 90 bushels and gotten to the walls 20 or 30 head of cattle. Lieutenant Colonel William Barrett Travis. Now, that letter inspired a lot of people then, and I think it still inspires people today. We're fighting here at the Alamo. We're fighting in D.C. We're fighting all across America. And it's up to each and every one of you to make sure your children, your grandchildren, remember these days, remember what we're fighting for, and remember what this country was founded on. Remember what fought for your life. Those men and women who died fighting for freedom. Not just guns, freedom of speech, everything. That's why moms demand action can come here and say we're a bunch of loony gun nuts who just want to kill everyone, which clearly isn't the case. Where are my cookies, Mother Demand Action? I want those cookies you were talking about on Twitter. Now, I want to say a special thank you to everybody who's been in the military out here. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who got your butts out of bed this morning, even though you wanted to sleep in, grabbed your guns, headed out here to show that you care about America, that you care about your life, and that you care about your rights. You're showing it to the media. You're showing it to everyone. And I thank the media for coming out here and covering this. Because you know what? The rest of America needs to see what's happening today at the Alamo. The rest of America needs to stand up and walk across that line. We're going to go ahead and do the raffle for the shotgun now, and of course the 1911 customized pistol grip, and a few other things that we have. So, you know, last call if you wanted to get a ticket. If you need to buy a ticket, just come over here. We have a few more left. $10 a piece, and you have a pretty good chance of winning. Also, this Mossberg 500 that you're buying raffle tickets for, if you choose to, comes with a magazine and a manual. Also has a pretty nice Mossberg sticker in it. I almost stole it and put it on my car.
Hey,
but,
James,
you know,
how you doing, man? Good to see
if you want it, you want it fair and square, including the sticker. Any last-minute ticket purchases can be done up here at the stage. Now, while we finish selling the last of the tickets for the shotgun and other things that we're going to be selling, you know, I want to remind everybody that's here, stay vigilant. Pay attention. Every morning when you wake up, it is your duty as an American to find out what's going on. You need to look around yourself and see what's happening, because too many people fail to do that for so long. I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh with my daddy, watching C-SPAN, wondering how the heck is this happening? What's Clinton doing? What's everybody doing? What is this? I thought this was land of the free. I believed in Ronald Reagan. So, you know, you need to educate your children. Make sure you know what's going on in their schools. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of corruption going on in schools. They're changing the textbooks. Pick up your child's history book and look at it. Look at it. They have altered the Second Amendment in several history textbooks already. So keep your eyes open and pay attention, America, because we are the 3%.
What's your name? What's your name? All right, James here is going to pick out the winning ticket for this beautiful shotgun that we have. We do have the box for it, and we do have the lock and the manual and all that. It is a brand new shotgun. As we said on the site, you got to have we want to see a license. So if you're a felon, don't tell me. No, I'm kidding. No felons. All right, James, pick out a ticket from in there. All right. Victor, I got the freaking mic. All right, the winner of the shotgun, and the shotgun only, 361084. 361084. Where we at? All right. Let me just confirm that. All right. Just get with hey Michael, would you just get down her driver's license to the lucky table and name? That's all we need from you. I didn't even know. Hey, what's your name? Pam. Congratulations. All right. Now we're going to draw for the custom 1911 grips. We've got 3 of these. So James, I want you to pick out 3 tickets, one at a time. All right. Got 3 tickets here. 361187. 361187. Are you out there? Anybody out there? Oh, right over here to the left. I hope you have a 1911. If not, you're going to have to get a 1911 to go along with your grips. All right, the next ticket. 361241. 361241. 241. Anybody? Shout. All right. Well. 361105. 361105. Over here on the right. There you go. All right, give me one more ticket. Oh, hang on. Right again. Over together. Bill. All right. Is Stephen Tho here? 360848. All right, those are the 3.
That means he's not convicted.
Okay.
Necessarily be acquitted either. So, well,
where did
what the city thinks they want it. Class B misdemeanor.
All right, we've got a, what does that go to again? SKS snake patterned furniture here. It says Mama Tried on it.
Fascists always feel that they're in the right. And the other person.
Again, and come and take. All right, James. Pick your parents out there. They're not going to take you home today.
Yeah, but that's half the problem. That attracts that kind of person.
All right, Jason Scoggins. Jason Scoggins, you here? 976. Do another one. I'll let you hold that.
I remind people.
Alrighty.
Hitler never killed.
361181. 361181.
That's the problem.
There we go. Over here on the right.
They write words on paper.
All right. You got an SKS?
Not yet.
I guess you're going to have to get an SKS to go along with it. Say again?
It's basically unlawful,
Right.
statutory slavery. Because if they put it on paper and say, you can do this. They get used to it. The whole 20th century has totally screwed up our constitutional standards.
All right. All right, we've got some beautiful AR furniture here for the ladies or some of the gentlemen, maybe. I'm not saying that. I'm an equal opportunity gun owner. All right. Go ahead and give you a ticket there, James. He's doing a great job. Let's give a hand to James here. There you go. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like when it's actually on the rifle there.
And that's why I gave up. I went libertarian. I don't care.
And it says sexy on it. 361-185. 361-185. All right. And it's going to look sexy on you. All right.
I don't think we have it yet.
All right, we got some AK pieces here, the snake pattern. James? All right. 361-238. Nope. 361-238. Say something. Yell. Put your hand in the air.
We're going to go over here and just rest.
238. 238. Anybody? All right. Next. Do another one.
Thank you, sir.
Look at that. Gary Hayes.
I just want to say Gary Hayes is one of my favorite people. He's a veteran of the Army. He's one of the people that got arrested by DPS down in Austin for legally carrying a pre-1899 black powder pistol. And I thank his wife Marcy for putting up with all of his shenanigans time and time again. The true patriot wife. Congratulations, Gary, and everybody else. Now we've got some copies of Mark Levin's Ameritopia. Those are... We're also doing 5 Don't Comply t-shirts, so lots of prizes, lots of chances. You can pick any shirt from the table if your name gets called. 361050. 050. There we go, got a winner. Three 61179. Three 61179. Any takers? All right, draw another. 361192. 192. We have anybody for 192? Well, gee, I guess I need to start drawing these. Alrighty, sir. Congratulations. 361015. 015. All right, one more for the T-shirt. 361-100. 100. Oh, 100. I know, they're old. No, no takers. No 100. Draw new one. Yeah. 361-042. 042. Make some noise if this is you. Three, 61229. Woo! Congratulations, ma'am. All right, now for Mark Levin's book. 361-045. 361-045. 361-017. 017. My gosh, I guess I should have bought some raffle tickets. Nobody's here.
Yeah, he's supposed to be on my radio show.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Everybody see Mr. Captain Liberty over here with the Slender Man suit? All right, we're going to do a raffle for a custom paracord fling. So when you win, come up here, get the companion piece to your ticket, see him to coordinate him getting you that sling and what kind you want and all that kind of stuff. All right, it's the Captain America man next to the Miss America.
Sir, my name is Christopher Hooks. I'm with the Texas Observer. I'm just trying to identify.
All right, William Holt.
I don't know their name. Okay.
William Holt, are you here?
To the site, you could probably
360-878.
Raphael, the man who said he came from Africa.
I'm not
He's
sure.
not on the site.
No, he's not.
Do you know if there's a request around here or something?
I would have a tendency to say if there's a
Think. There's a guy in a.
All right. Still doing the paracord swing. 360-984.
Ask for Terry Hokum around.
360-984. I don't want to keep everybody here forever, so we're going to start zinging through these.
Yeah, you bet.
984. Nobody? There we go. All right. Hector Medina.
No, but it's ending early.
Where you at, Hector?
The speakers were not very long.
There you go. See, Captain America. I know who you are. Well, let me see your ticket first. I do know who you are. I need to see your ticket.
Yeah.
What time was he here?
He was here. He was about the third speaker. He was here about 10:45.
All right, brother. Just go see Captain America right there. Thank you.
We got it recorded.
All right.
We had a little trouble with
All right.
the software.
Two more books here.
Starting out.
Brett McCain. Brett McCain. Is he here? All right, he's not yelling. He's got a voice. Next. Hey, also, if you're one of those three guys that was arrested here in San Antonio in July, can you come up here on stage? You're the guys. That's who this is for. What? Yeah. If they're here, come on up here. Show everybody who you are. And we can bring these guys up here and find out why these guys are still being charged and all these other people are doing the exact same thing that they did. 360-911. 360-911. 911. Did I hear it over here? No? 361-234. Yeah. Gotta start giving these things away. 361-234. All right. Which one? Yep. Thank you, sir. All right, last book and last raffle. And again, thank you everybody for coming out here and enjoying your freedoms, exercising your freedoms. Remember to go out into your towns, go out to your neighborhoods, and spread the word of open carry. Talk to your state reps, talk to your state senators, and tell them we want open carry of all firearms in all places. 361-096. 361-096. Speak now. All right, 361-114. 361-114. 361-114, nobody? All right, 361-047. All right, there we go, we're done. Hey, again, thank you, everybody. Please be safe as you're going out, as you're walking around downtown. If you see somebody that looks scared because you've got a rifle, please approach them and... Oh, the flag, dang. Oh my gosh, I forgot the most important...
I only put 10 days on a boat.
Oh, well,
My first outfit.
so we missed you. So you got the flag then. You just took your time getting up here. All right, hang on a second. Stay with me, because I got to go get that with you. Okay. Really quick, check us out also at opencarrytexas.org. We're also on Facebook, YouTube, opencarrytexas.org, don'tcomply.com. Join a group, go out there, exercise your rights. We got an event that we're planning right now up in Austin. Here's the problem that we have in our state's capital. Go to youtube.com/opencarrytexas. Listen to the video conversation that I had with the captain up there at the DPS at the nation's capital, and how he said he doesn't give a damn about your rights. He will arrest you for lawfully carrying your firearms. This is not a DPS problem, this is a capital DPS problem. So we are planning an event right now. Stay tuned to our Facebook page, and when our new website gets up on Open Carry Texas and Don't Comply, we're going to put that information out. We need just as big of a showing there at our state's capital than we do here to show that captain. You've got to listen to that phone call. It's going to piss you off. And burn up their phones. I put the phone number up there too. Burn up their phones and let them know what you think about them stepping on your rights. Everybody... Oh, come on up here. Okay. Oh, that's right. Also, as you go out, if you go to a business that's got a small American flag in it, one of those kinds that are on the stick, those are open carry friendly businesses. You may walk in there with your rifles. They care about your rights. If you do not see one of those flags, please do not go in those businesses. And they're all over the place. They're food stores, everything. So look for those American flags in there. And there's one more thing. These three gentlemen right here were sitting in Starbucks in July. Come up here. We're sitting in Starbucks with their weapons sitting right next to them, enjoying a latte, hanging out with the liberals, enjoying their coffees. And one of the panty wetters in Moms Demand Action probably called because they were quote-unquote alarming. So we've got that video up there as well. But the reason we're all here today is because these three gentlemen have been charged with disorderly conduct for exercising their Second Amendment rights. Chief McManus, do what you have to do to get those charges dropped. I know it's not in your hands right now, but you're an influential person. You need to get these charges dropped. It is an embarrassment to this city. All right, everybody, please be safe. Please be safe as you go home. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again from Open Carry Texas and Don't Comply and Texas Carry. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
We're now going to be doing our march and walk. If you'd like to participate with us, we're going to be lining up in the far corner of the Alamo over here. And when we all kind of get set, we're going to march towards Travis Park and have that town hall open forum and let everybody kind of have a minute to talk to the crowd. So everybody please line up at this corner. We're going to draw a line in the sand and defy SAPD's ordinances of no guns in park. Thank you.
If they're going to have a march, I might as well join in. That's what I'm here for.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do from Texas Carry want to thank everyone for coming out. I want to thank San Antonio Police Department for finally acknowledging what the law is. And like CJ said earlier, we have a fight now in Austin.
a very big fight. Everybody knows that Gary Hayes and Sky Liberty and myself were illegally arrested for carrying ball and cap revolvers. Somehow DPS was alarmed by those, regardless of the ARs and the AKs all standing around us. And so not only am I going to take that fight to Austin PD, also I'm going to take that fight to Austin. I am announcing my candidacy today for House District State Rep District 18. They should have passed HB 700. And so I'm going to take this voice, your voice, the people's voice, and we're going to continue this fight our way and quit fighting their way. Thank y'all for coming. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless Texas.
All right, thanks for coming out to the 2013 Line in the Sand. Come and take a San Antonio event. Everyone line up over here for the walk. Now, I do have to remind you that this is not a permitted parade walk. They will not be closing the roads for us. We are going to be doing it as pedestrian right-of-way only, which means crosswalks and sidewalks. So please take note of that and don't give them a reason to arrest. There will be a big banner at this corner that you can go ahead and line up behind. The big Come and Take It America banner at that corner. And please follow us. Let's have a good time. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Hey, real quick, one more thing, guys, as you're walking. Hey, my lawyers, very good lawyers, self-defense fund are going to be right over here. If you do not have a lawyer to protect yourself in the event that you use a weapon, you need to get one today. It is not expensive. It is cheaper than your car insurance. They're very good at what they do. They have kept us out of jail. So please, come over here and see them. They'll give you a pamphlet right over here to the left. Thank y'all.
So I figured it's getting kind of near that time, but I'd like to start making plans. Usually the final plan for TV. I want to ask you a few questions, maybe. Okay.
Hey, Larry Kilberg, Larry and Blue, where are you at? Where's Larry and Blue? Where's the self-defense fund guys? It's a $12 a month is all it costs, and they represent you for free.
Okay, this is George Butler. We're finishing up on this this open carry rally, and I'm sitting here with a couple of a friend and also a production gentleman with me. And let me first ask Farrell Montgomery is to my right. He's my production director here. And Farrell, give us a few words about your impressions of what happened today.
Well, George, I've been involved in the freedom movement since '92. I guess somewhat officially since '96. We've been trying to have a meeting like this for 20 years that I'm aware of. And they've been, keep calling them off, because we were concerned about, federal provocateuring or something, black ops, things like that, doing a false flag on it. This is quite a historic event. So what's happened is now the American public is awake enough that by doing something like this, if
peacefully too.
Yeah, of course, that's all we want is. But anyway, by doing this and having public support and being able to pull it off in such a way that they could not do a false flag on us and blame it on us, as they have so many other events in the past. I think this, I keep repeating myself, this is a historic event. And I think the American public are starting to turn around. People of many nations around the world have been crying, American public, please wake up. You guys have got what it takes to be able to turn this whole planet around. We've been fighting this tyranny for 5,000 years, where we've had psychopathic masters pushing us into slavery and servitude, and all through history the little guy has been pushing for his natural rights, given to us by the Almighty Creator. So anyway, I can go on and on. I've got a whole bunch of things about that, but I'm going to give it back to George.
Farrell, thank you very much. To my left is Mary Ellen Moore, and she's quite a fighting lady with a lot of fire. And Mary Ellen, what were your impressions and what would be your comments on this rally that occurred here in Alamo, right in front of the Alamo? This is October 19th, 2013. And what would be your impressions and your comments?
This is so incredible to be here today, and to see this many people here. I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe there'd be 1,000 people here. It looks to me like there's at least a couple thousand people here, and a very vociferous group, I might add. Great speakers. I have been trying to wake people up for many, many, many years. Even since I was a child, I went door to door for Barry Goldwater when I was 10 years old. And I was on Pat Buchanan's presidential campaign in 2000, and what I found out was that people are not wanting to have their worlds rocked. And we have to come in through whatever door we can with people to get them to understand that this is not left and right. It's about right and wrong. It's about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They're not even teaching the Constitution anymore. I ask people, when was the last time you read the Constitution? When was the last time you read the Bill of Rights? And I was guilty of it too. Until you sit back down and you reread and study, as one of the speakers was saying, you don't have any idea what we are taking for granted in this country. And as we become more and more wimpified because of fluoride in the water, being dumbed down by television, more and more people are falling asleep instead of waking up. So it does my heart good. We need to have a lot of voices, a lot of groups like Oath Keepers and Open Carry Texas around the country. And I, for one, was just absolutely pleased as punch to see what happened here today.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. I know you've studied this subject for years, and the Second Amendment is very, very important. And Texans have a special desire to defend that particular Bill of Rights, But we're wrapping up. We're going to be taking a last shot here at the Alamo, and then we're going to be wrapping it up. But thank you very much for viewing this and contributing to this. And we're going to be donating anything over a certain minimum to the sponsors of this rally today. So thank you very much for viewing this, and we're going to be going silent for a minute or two with a view of the Alamo, and then we'll be off the air. But thank you for viewing this event.